Now, you remember in other news reports, I have been stating that, do you really think the United States and all these quote unquote Western nations is going to just sit back and say, oh yeah, the coronavirus and, you know, this is bad and just go back to normal? And they are keep pointing at China and say they're the responsible ones. Do you think that nothing's going to happen out of it? I said that. And lo and behold, exactly what I said, now it's starting to be said all over the place now. Now, they had a report come out of China, actually in Beijing. They said that they're worried about a rise of wave of hostility. It's in the wake of the coronavirus outbreak that can tip relations with the United States into an armed confrontation, according to an internal Chinese report. It said that presented early last month to the Ministry of State Security, to the top Beijing leaders, including President Xi Jinping, is they concluded that global anti-China sentiment is at its highest since the 1989 Tiananmen Square crackdown. As a result, Beijing faces a wave of anti-China sentiment led by the United States in the aftermath of the pandemic and needs to be prepared for a worst case scenario for armed conflict between the two global powers. It's according to people familiar with the report. It's who declined to be identified because they're worried about, you know, China doing them something, which that's the way they get down. They don't want you talking. So it said the report was drawn up by the China Institute of Contemporary International Relations, a think tank that they have over there in China and a top intelligence body. Now, say according to briefing papers, they said the content of the document was described by people who had direct knowledge of its findings, right? So the Chinese right now are saying, well, we need to be prepared just in case the United States are ready to go to war against us. So they're already thinking in their mind the United States ready to go to war with them. And just the thing, it just won't be the United States if it gets to that point. I'm telling you, Italy, they lost a lot of people. The UK, well, Boris Johnson almost died. So that's the UK definitely gonna be on board. Let me tell you something. The global economy shut down. This isn't China's first time having a pandemic come out of there. Remember the SARS virus, the wet market, same old, same old. Because this is what they're already saying. This isn't the first time you had a pandemic come out of China and link it back to the filth. And then now you got this one. Okay. So a lot of people have been speaking up. Of course, you know, I'm speaking up because of what they're doing in the continent of Africa, how they're stealing, how they're doing all kind of dirty dealings, what they're doing in Jamaica. I don't know if you remember the story out of Jamaica where they actually took a port away in Jamaica. OK, so they've been doing these dirty dealings all over the world and affecting black people. So I told people this: the enemy of my enemy is always my friend, always. So if they want to get at the Chinese, I'm on your side with it because they need to get out of Africa. And if they wouldn't get out of Africa, they wouldn't have these other problems. Yes, I know they came out with a new stealth bomber the Chinese just come out with now, saying that they could hit the United States. But I already knew them two was going to have a conflict. I already knew because this current president over there, he kept poking and poking and poking and making certain moves that they didn't like. And so, and I know one way they're probably going to, and I'm trying to predict, the one way they're probably going to have a conflict with them is probably going to be over either probably Taiwan, because Taiwan don't want to be underneath China. And they say they want to be their own nation. And that's one way they could possibly start something with them. Well, you know, they're going to have to try to start something. And Trump talking about sanctions and doing all kinds of things to China. But I will say this, if they do get any kind of conflict, that shuts down all movement out of China. Now you may say, I don't care about movements. And no. It shuts down all of the products that come over here from China. And a lot of products come here from China. So if they have a conflict or whatever they may have, the United States going to have to make their own products all over again. I mean, they make some, but they don't make everything like they used to. And you know, Trump, he's been pushing that forever, that they need to make everything here in the United States. Don't even making nothing in China. Now, if they go to have some sort of conflict with them, they can definitely put laws where no American could be over there, and not even American companies could be over there. or they don't want no business with them. They can do that legally by the law if they want to. But the thing is, I know that where this is going. The United States is not going to sit up here and pay trillions and trillions of dollars trying to keep this country afloat, and it's not their fault. They're going to say China either going to pay us back or it's going to be a problem. And all these Western nations saying the same thing. We spend all this money trying to keep our countries afloat, and you just like, I ain't got nothing to do with me. That's y'all problem. They were saying that, why didn't you let us know when you had the doctors being whistleblowers? Why did those doctors disappear, or the ones that died from the coronavirus? Why didn't you say something back in December? Why you let, like Trump said, and I said this, he say they had a pandemic starting up and they let their people just fly to everybody else's countries. That's true. I said that way before Trump said it. I say they have to be held accountable. A lot of people not working right now. The Chinese Communist Party is the reason why a lot of people lost their jobs. Our economy was doing good before all this happened. Let's call it what it is. Black people had lower unemployment than they ever had. People, 401ks and stocks making money. Everything was going good, really. You can't say it wasn't. Until this. And it's the Chinese Communist Party's fault. And the Chinese Communist Party, they need to be held accountable for it. They need to be dealt with for it. Because see, look, some people don't need certain degrees of power because they don't know how to act with it. And the Chinese, you have to understand, you look at their history. Like, you don't want them to get to certain levels. You don't. Because look at what they're doing, the little bit they have now. Now, of course, China say, well, they're against us because they don't want us to rise and be the dominant power in the world. Well, I could have told you they don't want you to be the dominant power. You're going to have the whole NATO against you. It's coming. I'm telling you, it's coming, and they're going to use coronavirus and Taiwan possibly to do something. Something going to happen within that area of Taiwan, and they're going to shoot something down. The China going to do something, and it's going to kick off. I'm telling you. So it's getting interesting, ladies and gentlemen. But you know us, we want to keep you informed in geopolitics and what's going on. So leave me a comment. Let me think about the situation with the United States and the rest of the West. Definitely they thinking that they're going to be in an armed conflict with China. You know, I would say to black folks, you shouldn't be there no way. You need to get out of there. Definitely based on how they're treating black people, we have no reason to be in China. Let them eat cake and whatever their problem is over there. You know, I know that some people may say, well, that means Russia get involved. That means this will get involved. And that, well, you know, hey, they're going to do what they do. It is what it is. But, oh, trust me, China going to have to pay the money or they're going to have a conflict. I just see that coming.